Wait, I'm going in the first tip?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
What's going on, guys? This is Luke with Endless Entrepreneurs. Coming to you guys with another Sunday evening show. I think my intro might have got cut off there. I didn't time that very well. But in any case, thanks for everyone for joining us. This is our weekly 6 tips, quick tips around eBay to help improve your business. I am a part-time eBay seller, a full-time finance analyst, I guess now, transitioning roles. But I'm going to toss it over to Chris, let him introduce himself, and jump right into our first tip so we can give you the value right up front.
What's up, everybody? Glad to join you guys. Thanks for having me again, Luke. And we're going to go straight into it. My name is Chris. I am trying to build a 10,000 item store on eBay. That's unique items. And Luke and I every week give you 6 adjustments that can help your store, help improve sales or process. And the very first tip that I'm going to go into today, I think has been working, and that's adding the suggested MSRP in the title. And recently I've moved away from running sales because it's a little bit time consuming to run sales constantly or adjust prices up and adjust them down. You know, there's always the question of if it's ethical to run an artificial sale. And I think it does matter to customers seeing that strike through or a higher price at first. They want to see the sale. But I think that, excuse me, you can give a similar effect by just putting that number in the title. And since removing the location from the title and moving it to the custom SKU, I now have a few extra letters in the title. And so that's where I'm at with that. I really think that will work.
Well, that makes sense. So 2 questions pop out to me there. One, how do you research the MSRP for used items? How do you quickly integrate that in your process, or what have you been using?
I have been using the suggested new retail. So even though it's obviously not new, so I'll put and I have never had a confusion that it's used. Right. No one has said, oh, it's $59 new, but buddy, it's used. I've never had that comment either.
Right. Oh, that's good.
I'm just trying to create create the value for the customer. Right. I almost think it's going to improve the customer experience.
Right, you're giving them the value proposition right up front, making it very crystal clear so there's no confusion, which I've always done that with new with tags items, but that's only because the new with tags, like suggested MSRP is like right there. And so I'll put that in sometimes. I've just never done it for used ones. I haven't really thought about the idea of doing that, but I think that's a great tip. My second, I guess, real question around that, as you said that you took, so you're no longer putting your custom SKU in the title, you're only putting it in the custom SKU field. Is that what I heard from you?
Yes, I removed the location of the item from the title.
And how do you think that's had any like positive impact, or just looks cleaner, or and has that had any impact on shipping?
I have one more word.
Right.
I think one more word does help the SEO a little bit more. And it's also it's a cleaner look, and then moving the location to the custom SKU and printing the custom SKU on the label has reduced my finding time or my picking time from my storage area significantly, because I don't have to do the packing slip. I can just print all the labels, walk into the warehouse, and since they're all prepackaged, I just put the label on the package right in the warehouse, and they're ready to go. So that saved me a lot of time.
Very cool. I know that's not related to our show topic, but I was very curious about that. That's pretty sweet. I like that streamline. All right, well, I will jump into my second one unless you have anything else to add on that, or my first one. So mine is something that I actually have done recently, just this last week. I've had huge success with it. So I started to just purge old inventory because I was trying to shake up my sales stuff. And what I found, and there's definitely a correlation, and I'm going to continue to experiment with this, but I think that everyone should be trying and messing around with this, is I ran a bunch of auctions on old inventory, fairly priced auctions, like $4.99 to start the auction with $5.99 shipping. So one bid on the item was still giving me an ROI I was comfortable with for a lot of old stale inventory. And I had about 38, 39 or so auctions end on a Thursday. On Friday, I had my highest sale day I've had yet this year on my normal items, excluding auctions. And I really think that running auctions to help increase your conversion, your sale conversion for the traffic for your store, has a tremendous impact on the rest of the visibility of your store. So I think that everyone should start to look into that and should start to track that from a statistical standpoint and kind of what the visibility of their store is from a conversion standpoint. That's been helping me enormously, I think.
How do you know which inventory is aged?
So For me, it's easy right now simply because I have old backdrops. So from like, I can tell from pretty much each phase of like me evolving as a reseller, it's a different backdrop. What I need to put into place now that I'm kind of diving a little deeper into this and cycling the old inventory is how to mark things, especially I have good till canceled. So I think that I can see it from there. But I'm not sure. I have to do some more research. And if you have any suggestions, I'm definitely open to them or anyone in the chat later. But starting to mark that, because the next step and kind of a follow on to that tip is just I'm going to start running about 10 auctions every day that for 7 days. That way, every day I have auctions ending. So every day I have the potential for an extra couple of sales to increase my conversion daily. So the next day I can kind of reap that benefit. And I'll just keep cycling those until those, sell off, and I'll try to replenish each of those with old inventory. So I haven't come up with a good system for it, but I think it's something we all should start to think about, because I think conversion is going to be a big thing for eBay moving forward.
Are you going to do a percentage of auctions? How many auctions are you going to run each week? I love this idea. I'm just not sure how to actually integrate it.
Yeah, so I mean, just being fully transparent, I don't have a great system yet for how to do it. It's a tip of more like, I think that everyone needs to start experimenting with it and increasing your conversion. Because I think especially for longer tail stores, I think we're starting to get punished a little bit for being longer tail and having a lower conversion with the traffic that's being driven. When I look at the promoted listings as being a big priority for them, they're starting to look at impressions and clicks and all those things. And so, for me, it's more of like, how do I get a steady staple of old inventory that I can cycle out? And what percentage is good for me? Like I had 220 auctions running last week.
Wow.
And I had about 40 end with sales after a 7-day period, all old inventory. I don't think I can't sustain that volume of auctions, but I definitely think like if you could run 50 to 100 auctions for every 1,000 items you have, I think that like 10% threshold would increase your conversion significantly with all those extra sales ending. And I think it could create a lot of extra exposure for your store. So that's just my thoughts on that.
I would love to. So let's say I want to integrate that. Would you say do 5 auctions a day?
Depending on the size of your store. I mean, I would say probably
depend on the size of your
store. I would
do
like a percentage. I mean, I would start small. I would say like for any medium size. I don't even know what a medium size seller is. For me, I had 1,700 active items. So I started with just purging 200 plus items. But if you wanted to just step into it, I would say, hey, take like 5% or 2% of your inventory that's old and aged and kind of phase it out over a 7-day period. That way you have auctions running every day and ending every day, and just see if you see a bump. I mean, I think that it's worth starting to check into, because they're obviously putting an emphasis on promotion, on views, on clicks, on impressions. Like that's becoming something, and conversion is the next like kind of metric off of all those things. So I think there's definitely a correlation there.
So how do you feel about 1% of your inventory every day ending?
I think it's great. I think it's better than I was doing currently, right? Like I think there's a huge benefit to having a couple extra sales ending every day.
I have so many questions about this. So like, what do you start your auctions at?
Yeah, like I don't even have all the answers. I just noticed what's working. So I started basically my auction plus my shipping combined at a price I was comfortable letting the item go with the one bid. That was pretty much how I structured it, right? It was what's worth my time to pack and ship this, where I still am getting net dollars back into my business, and what is the ROI off of like a sunk cost of an 18-month-old piece of inventory, right? Or a 12-month-old piece of inventory. So you really have to assess that for yourself, and just kind of using the model of a dress shirt, right? Like a dress shirt that I've had up for 18 months, I paid somewhere between $2 and $4 for it at some point. Selling that for $11 shipped is great for me. Like I'm totally fine with bringing that in. It's going first class for under $4. I'm putting a couple dollars net profit in my pocket. I'm cycling out old inventory, and I'm adding exposure to my store. So for me, that's kind of how I looked at it and tried to address it.
Okay, a couple more questions related to this. What time are they ending?
So that's a good. I've been having mine end around 10 p.m. Eastern time, 10 or 11 p.m. Eastern time, just because it covers kind of all the time zones. I'm sure if there's some old time eBay sellers in here who used to do auctions only, that I would tell you. I'm guessing like that, probably like 9 p.m. to midnight is like the prime time Eastern for things to end, because it captures all the time zones.
Are you going to do, let's see, 1%? If you have them ending at 10 p.m. and they don't sell, do you relist them?
Yeah, so that's why I want to stagger batches every single day, so that every single day a small batch is ending, and I know just I wake up in the morning, relist it, and set it to go live at a certain time at night. That way, it's always ending, and I just have a routine every morning I wake up, or whenever whether it's I wake up or at night. I'm usually not up that late, so it's also nice to wake up to all those sales.
Okay, last question on this one. What do you started at?
I started all mine at $4.99.
At $4.99. Okay.
Yeah, you're talking price, right? Is that you're asking what price I started at? Yep, $4.99. I did $5.99 shipping because I figured everything I was auctioning, worst case, I could fit it in a flat rate envelope for $5.95.
I like that. Someone in the chat says they noticed a slowdown in bids after 9 Eastern Standard Time. So I wonder if you had moved it an hour earlier. Are people not able to bid on it at work? I don't understand when people are bidding.
Yeah, so I don't really understand that as much either. I'm like I said, I'm not really an expert on auctions. I've just noticing a huge correlation with the conversion. Maybe after 9's too late. That's something I'll definitely experiment with. What I did notice though, like it's not like I had a lot of multiple bids on things. Like at the end, there wasn't people trying to snipe it and going back and forth or anything. It was like for 7 days steady, every day I had 2 or 3 people bidding on an item. Right? It was like they put a bid on it with 6 days left, and it probably didn't get another bid, but it was just someone wanted it for $11 and said, "Yeah, I'm good with that." Right? And it just sat, for 6 days. It had a bid on it, and then it sold. So I think that's really, it's not like you're putting a high demand item where you're creating a bidding war, right? Like I don't want people to be confused. You're not putting this super, super high demand item that 10 people are watching and are all going to fire in a ton of last minute bids. Like that just doesn't happen with clothing, right? Unless it's something super rare.
Let's say somebody buys 2 of your items on auction and they want combined shipping. Is that outlined on your listings?
No, so I haven't been offering combined shipping. To me, it's like I'm auctioning this at a discount. So for me, it's like the shipping's built into my price. They buy 2 items. Like that's just the price of the item in my mind is the shipping plus the item. So they buy multiple items. That's where I gain a benefit, and I'm okay with that, right? Like I had someone buy 3 Ralph Lauren shirts for me that I auctioned that were super, super old. Like they paid for all 3 of them. And then I just combined them and they all fit in one flat rate envelope. So they ship for $2 a piece. And, that's where I make a little extra, profit getting those purged items out the door. And remember too, it's like you're kind of trying to run to get exposure, not to make a ton of money on your auctions. You want to make money, but not like.
And they're not asking for combined discount. I
haven't had it yet. I've had a couple of people with my LL Bean stuff ask if they could have combined shipping, and I basically said, let's negotiate the price you want to pay per pair shipped, and we'll just hit to that. Because to me, it was like I don't want them trying to calculate whatever offer. I'm like, I said, if we agree at $15 a pair shipped, send me this best offer. If that's what it totals out to, I'll accept all of them. We're good to go. Like that just is way easier for me from a negotiating standpoint.
Okay. I'm gonna go. I'm full. I'm full of you.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any more questions on your auctions. I think I know. I'm gonna straight up start running 1% of my auctions, 1% of my items on auction every day. That's exciting. I do not know where I'm gonna start them, but in theory, if I had a pretty decent sell-through rate, even just if the auctions were a penny. Right. Mm-hmm. So that, and they were going to sell, that would mean 30% of your stuff moving, the 30 oldest stuff in your store moving, if you have the system set up, which is not necessarily a bad way to do it, just to clear room for new stuff. And also, I'm sure that one of the reasons why you had an increase this last week was because every time somebody bids, your whole store starts to gain traction.
Yeah. I do believe that too. I absolutely believe that.
100%.
And the other piece I'll say to that too is I am going to be careful. I'm not going to do that with old long tail high end inventory. So like I would never do that with like a good sport coat or a good suit or something like that. I don't care how long that sits. I know those are long tail. I do have some sport coats, some blazers up right now that I'm auctioning, but they were like 18 to 24 months. They were bad buys, whatever, bad photos. Just trying to get back onto my normal inventory system. So that's kind of my last comment on that.
Okay. So my second tip is to adjust the order of the keywords in the title And I say this because I think it gives you a boost when you make adjustments in your title, photos, or price. Those are the three things I think matter the most. I'm now spending a little bit more time on the first picture. And I'm doing the white background, even though I've been against it. So I moved to the white background and I'm spending time editing that first photo so it looks better than reality. In my opinion, a lot of stock photos don't accurately represent items because they make them look better. And then the rest of the photos are just taking it in more natural lighting. So that people can get a better idea of sort of a neutral way of looking at it. But I think the order of the keywords in the title is something that I I don't fully understand why it's not a concrete answer from eBay on how they want it. Because I feel like you can be creative on other things, but I don't want a creative title. I would like it to, like, if brand is what they want first, that's all. Everyone on the website should use brand first instead of, vintage Nike. If they could say Nike, or if they want vintage Nike to be presented as vintage Nike first, I'd like to know. But my point is, if constantly adjusting your title in any fashion seems to give you some type of a boost. Not sure why. And then also, you will catch typos.
Yeah, I think first of all, I think that's a great tip, but I have a couple questions. So first, how do you streamline adjusting your titles? Like, do you have any processes that you bulk edit with? Do you like how do you work that? How do you make that happen?
So this is a good point, and I think that a good question. Well, I've been looking into Poshmark recently, and the founder suggests like a 30-minute jam session where you go in, you follow other sellers, you adjust your listings, you share your closet. And sharing your closet is the equivalent of adjusting your listings, sort of, as far as a boost. And I think sharing your listing is kind of useless, especially if it is a bad listing. But since obviously the algorithm is affected by it, people have increased sales from literally posting the exact same, just refreshing their listing. So for me, my process is 50 at a time or 100 at a time. I will bulk edit and go through, adjust the pricing usually by a penny. I will adjust the keyword order. For J Crew, it's confusing to me because it's like J dot crew or J space crew or J dot space crew. And when I search, sometimes certain things don't show up. And even though they say that the algorithm is sophisticated and it always picks it up, that doesn't seem to be the case for me. So each time I adjust it, it seems like I get a boost. As an example, I had an extra small J Crew shirt. I changed it from extra small to just XXS in the title, and I had an offer right away, and that was old inventory. I didn't change the price except for a penny. So,
Yeah.
I just think adjusting it's important. I'm not sure. I really don't know how to adjust it though.
Right. You don't have like a static like form or like any process you follow. It's just like, let me grab these 200 listings. I'm going to go through in the bulk editor. I'm going to tweak some things, make sure it shakes it up in the algorithm, which goes back to like what we've been talking about for a couple weeks now, Chris, is like changing price and changing title to eBay makes that listing newer somehow. It just does. Like there's definitely a correlation there and the traction you get on those items. So I totally agree with you. And even if you just take that approach of daily adjusting some items, a batch of them, I think that you're going to have huge benefits from it. And it doesn't have to take a ton of your time. It can just take 10 minutes once a day to do, even like you said, do 25 listings, do 50 listings. So I think that's a great tip.
And that concept of a set time where you do that every day, I'm not disciplined about it, but that would be I think if you're running a legit business, like if you're running Poshmark or eBay as a company, and you knew that this affected your sales, it'd probably be somebody's job to do that.
Right.
If you had a company, somebody's job description would be go in there and tweak every single thing every day.
Right. I agree. Well, it's just like if you think of like a brick and mortar store, right? It's the same as like redoing the end caps and changing out the locations of items to the customer so that it's presented differently to them when they walk in. I mean, you're kind of doing the same thing, right? We're visually representing the same inventory in a different way, or and that's how I think eBay picks that up. So I think you're absolutely right, and I didn't buy any of that, by the way. So for like the last year, I was like not at all on that camp, And I'm not sure that it used to be that way, but I can tell you for sure that this fall, with a lot of the changes they're making, there's a definite shift in the way that it's recognizing listings. Like, I don't think there's any mistake around that.
I'm going to add one more comment to this tip, which is not, which I think might be a separate tip, but I'm going to throw it in there anyway. And that is looking at another word that might describe your item better that you didn't know about. And as an example, I started adding the word outerwear to jackets, pullovers, sweaters, hoodies, if I have room. And the word outerwear seems to be giving me a boost. And I just imagine it's another word. And in different parts of the country, they call things different things. So, like as an example, in England, they call sneakers runners sometimes, or trainers instead of shoes or sneakers. So adding those words, I've seen people put Nike shoes, sneakers, trainers, runners in the titles in addition to the model.
Right.
So
no, and just to kind of echo on that tip there. So I had the same pair of LL Bean pants. They were different, or they were like a slightly different shade of color. I mean, they were like the same pant, same style, everything. One I had hiking in, and the other one I didn't. I just had casual. The hiking one sold out. Like, I had 12, 13 of them sold out, like, right away. The other casual ones I just noticed the other day are still sitting there. I changed the word to hiking, and they've been starting to sell. So, like, you're dead on. Like, there are some keywords that just people are searching for those. Like, I mean, it's basic SEO, really, right? It's like some people are searching for certain things. So I totally agree. Am I number 2 now? I feel like we've been.
yes, you're number 2 now.
Am I number 2 now? All right. What do I have here? Oh, so I think this is another big one, and this was something I've believed in since the beginning. I've gotten away from it with my crazy schedule, but I think that having a daily listing schedule definitely is a boost to your store versus batch listing like 1 or 2 times a week. I kind of toggled back and forth this idea, but I've seen a huge difference, like batch listing on weekends and not listing during the week at all. My sales are definitely a lot different than when I'm just freshly putting a couple of unique new active items up every day. Like, if I was to list 50 items on Sunday and not list anything the rest of the week, or if I broke that up over the course of the week, 5 to 7 items a day or something like that, my sales would definitely be better. Like, I really, really believe that correlation.
Okay. I don't have any comments on that one. Should I jump into number 3?
Yeah, just jump right in.
Okay. So number 3 for me is I have removed immediate pay on all of my items. And I have seen an increase in international sales and combined sales. And people are always asking, can I get a better deal on shipping? And I say, I don't accept offers and negotiate on shipping. You gotta do one or the other. Like, you can buy at the full price and I'll give you a combined shipping discount, or you can best offer and then pay the full price for the shipping. And it was a little bit confusing and difficult. And I think people were just saying, I'll just buy from somebody else. It's not easy to do it. So now that I turned it off, they can just buy both of them, and I can adjust the shipping afterwards. And I haven't had any issues with that. But I will say, even though I've had an increase in sales, I've also had an increase in unpaid bidders. So I think you get both of them if you decide to do this method.
That's interesting. So that's the first time I've ever heard of that. I mean, even being a factor, which I guess that makes sense a bit. But what is the percentage you think of your increased unpaid bidders? Like, proportional to, like, if you had to estimate my sales are impacted by X, I probably have this many now that are more unpaid. Like,
I have at least one unpaid bidder every single day now.
Okay.
So I'm about 20 sales a day. And I didn't have one a day. I had probably one every 3 days. So at least tripled the amount of people who do not pay. But that's still, only from 1 or 2% to, let's say, 5%.
And what do you think, if you had to quantify, do you think that it's more than giving that boost for your sales? Like,
yes, it's definitely better because I have a lot more combined sales.
Gotcha.
Because when people said, can you combine shipping? Because I charge a lot for shipping. I like a flat rate of $8.99. People don't want to pay $8.99 twice.
Right.
So they'll always ask for a deal, and then now I can adjust afterwards. And I'm still using the unpaid item assistant, which I think I may turn off and manually just start sending them in.
Right.
But the reason why is because I do get payment on items on like an additional Friday.
Gotcha.
And as I'm trying to increase my average sale price, as an example, I had 16 unpaid items, and as of Monday, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
as of Thursday last week, and then Friday, 11 of those 16 paid.
Right. Yeah, and that I
So
noticed that with the
yeah.
auctions too. Like I had a lot of unpaid auctions, but then they've all cleaned up over the weekend. Like they ended Thursday, and then between Thursday and today, all but 2 of the 38 have paid. So yeah, I agree with you on that. I think sometimes
Okay.
people just don't jump on to pay and pull the trigger until they feel like it or until it's convenient for them. So that makes
Okay.
sense. All right. So my last one is to update pricing. I mean, we kind of talked about this, but I think you have to have a schedule for updating your pricing. And I think Chris touched on really what I was talking about earlier when he said he goes in and edits everything by like either a penny or 2 pennies or whatever. For me, I've been kind of going up and down like 50 cents to $1 ish, up and down, or sometimes just down depending on what I'm sorting by. But I've been doing that for my entire store, and I think that it really does refresh in the algorithm and makes your item that much newer. So I know it's a little redundant there, but they're all kind of different swim lanes and different areas of adjusting your items, and they're really small ways that you can impact your sales in a big way. My camera keeps refocusing. Sorry about that, guys. Anyways, so those are 6 tips. I want to take a quick break and say we got over 100 people watching live, so thank you very much. Hit that like button for us if you don't mind. Let us know that this is at least a little bit helpful to you guys. Hopefully it's helping your business here on Sunday night. Time to shift to Q&A. Chris, do you see any questions you want to grab?
Chris Magnelli has a comment saying that he has in his description an explanation of how to request for combined orders. I think that's great. I do not have any such disclaimer that's like, hey, if you're looking for a better deal on multiple items, please let me know by messaging me or by make an offer on both items. And if I put in there, I do not negotiate shipping, please make an offer that includes the shipping discount you're looking for. Something along those lines. That's not very eloquently put, but I think it would work.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm underutilizing the condition description box and or really the condition description box, and not putting enough in there since that's what the buyer sees first. I mean, I do condition specific stuff, but there's a lot of opportunity to leverage that into the buyer's eyes right away using that space.
Gotcha. So Chris actually puts it in the additional payment instructions. So there's a box for that.
Interesting.
But people don't read. I might put that. If it's not against eBay policy, I would rather put it in the condition description.
Yeah.
I'd rather put these are the measurements for the item. If you want a discount, please. Or if you want a discount, I don't negotiate shipping prices or something. I'm sure that picks up the filter actually that says don't talk about shipping in the condition description.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something there, but it is what it is. So Stacy asks, if the auctions don't sell, would we keep relisting the auction? And what I'm going to do is yes. So I'm going to try to dedicate probably 10 auctions that go live every day or that are going to end every day. And I'll just keep relisting that batch as they sell off. Probably when it gets below like 5 a day going live, I'll probably add 5 back in, just some new ones to get up to that 10 mark, and just keep those on a rolling basis as they sell off.
Let's see.
Someone asked a question about paid shipping and free shipping, Chris. I'll let you. They asked if there's any substantial difference between it.
I like paid shipping because I feel like international buyers have to pay double shipping if they buy your item at $20 free shipping. It's not really free. You're just charging $16 plus $4 shipping on the item per se. So if they have to buy the item, they have to buy it for 20 plus whatever their shipping rate is versus 16 plus whatever. So I'd rather have 16 plus 4 so that the international buyer can pay 16 plus 20. And I feel like it's cheaper for them. It's already very expensive. And there are more shoppers outside of the U.S. than in the U.S. And in countries, as an example, I sell a lot of things to Australia. Their shipping is like $8 or $9 to ship something under £1. and that's not competitive, right? Because it only costs us like $12 or $14 to ship a clothing article to Australia. So I think if you have plus shipping on clothing, that's one market of people, and they have 29 million people that can now shop competitively. So that would be my um, thoughts on if free shipping improves it. But I
Yeah, that
literally
makes
talk to
sense.
people who have the opposite impression.
Yeah, I mean, and so you're looking at someone who I've been in the free shipping camp pretty much my entire time selling eBay until a week and a half ago. So it took a while for me to come over. I'll say the dark side just because I've been so adamantly against it till now. But I've just seen a lot of benefits from an exposure standpoint, from a even just the few returns I've had since I flipped that on. Like I didn't realize not having to shell out, only having to shell out basically the sale price and not the return shipping. I didn't think it'd be that significant because I was like, my returns are so small, the percentage, and like I think I kind of underestimated and kind of minimalized that impact. So I think that definitely is going to be big moving forward. And Ronnie Hart actually made a really good point to me the other day. We were chatting, and he said that he's run free shipping multiple times and he's run paid shipping multiple times, and he tests it frequently. Like he'll at least once or twice a year he'll go back and test free shipping. And he says his average sell price per item is always lower when he does free shipping. His pricing's the same, everything but he just always ends up lower. He's like, I end up accepting best offers for things lower than I would have, and the shipping's not there to pad it. And he says, it's at least $4 or $5 per item that I'm just eating when I go to free shipping. He says, I don't know exactly why, but I just can see that trend there. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of shifting towards the paid shipping camp.
The one thing I would say with free shipping is, in theory, you would have people who are searching for only free shipping. You wouldn't be excluded from that search. So in theory, it would make the item sell faster. I haven't had that experience, but in theory, that should be the case, but it's not necessarily.
And it comes back to they haven't demonstrated to me that they're giving enough benefit to people offering free shipping from an eBay standpoint versus someone charging. And then if you think that's a perfect point, Chris, from the buyer's perspective, when you search on eBay, you search lowest price plus shipping, right? So your filter is always including shipping. So you're not being excluded by charging shipping when they do that filter. So yeah, I think that's a really good point.
Lori is asking a question about authenticity on Patagonia and Triple Fat Goose Down. This is a good question. Patagonia oftentimes is just that little badge that says Patagonia on it that's sewn on, and it's very easy to counterfeit. So it is difficult. I would say I haven't had any issue authenticating it because there's not I don't think there's a massive market for fakes. But if you're worried, what I would do is either take it to the shop and ask them to clean it, and usually when they're inspecting it, they'll tell you if it's fake or not. Or you can just post a lot of pictures. And I just take a page out of when I used to sell luxury items. We used to post 40 pictures per item because we want people to get an idea of the authenticity without getting the item. And 40 pictures is is overkill. Like every single stitch, pattern, button, whatever is documented, and then people will let you know right away. If you post a fake item with 40 pictures, you're gonna get messages telling you that it's fake. So immediately.
I agree.
If it's under, here's the staggered, like people who do free first class.
Yeah.
And they charge for other ones.
Also, so there's a question here about someone said they read an article about offering free returns. I think we've touched on this a couple times, but not really into a lot of detail. I mean, I don't know. I don't offer free returns. I offer guaranteed returns, 60 days. But I don't know. What do you think about that, Chris?
I think that. I would say you get a whole extra bar of visibility. It says free shipping, free returns in bold on the listing. I think it's tremendous. I was looking at the eBay store. I just purchased my shipping supplies for the new quarter, and it said free shipping and free returns, 2 gigantic bold lines on the listing. It stood out a lot. But it makes me wonder, you're going to get hit very hard now on a return because you're definitely paying return shipping. You're paying shipping there. So you're paying for both shipping. Then they get the item back to you. And I feel like it's so low risk to the customer. And that is the reason why the sales are increasing. It's such a low barrier to entry. Buy it. If you don't like it, you get your full money back. You don't have to pay shipping. I mean, that's a great way to get people to buy your goods. I don't know overall if it's a good thing, but there's no question that would increase your sales. It's impossible to offer that and not have it help.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, I just haven't made the plunge into it because I haven't been able in my head to quantify what that's going to mean for me. What I really need to do is just go back at all my returns, like a 90-day period, look at the price of them, look at what the return shipping would be, and then decide how many of those I would have just refunded and not even bothered with, and how many I would have actually paid the shipping on, right? That I wouldn't, because that's really what you're asking is, so how much additional costs are you willing to bear, and will the increased sales outweigh the additional costs that you're going to bear? And that's really what we're trying to answer. And I just don't know. I don't have really a clear view on it.
I also want to let you guys know that eBay has this new service to authenticate really high-end items, like a premium eBay valet or something, and you send in a luxury bag, they authenticate it and sell it for you, and they charge 20%. And I was looking at that, and they have a beyond 100% guarantee, meaning like if you get an item and it's considered fake and they said it was real and you send it back and they verify you were right, they will give you back 110% of what you paid. So if you paid $1,000 for a bag, ended up being fake, you sent it back to them and it was not like fake, you sent back the same item that they sent you and the pictures indicate that the item was not authentic, they would give you more than you paid, which is something better than the A to Z Amazon return, which is in the chat right now, which is basically you can return an item on Amazon for any reason, regardless of the reason. So they're just putting that into the Prime as a benefit. And I think eBay is always behind the ball when it comes to Amazon. They always release a program that's not as good as Amazon. And in this case, it's the same or better. You know, for the buyer, from the buyer standpoint, like, you know.
They finally did one a little better.
Finally did one a little bit better than Amazon. Instead of launching guaranteed delivery, which sounds like to me slower than Prime.
Right. Someone just asked, would that include a Beanie Baby that may sell for over 100?
No, it has to be a specific brand and things that matter. I don't think the fake Beanie Baby market is very big.
Someone just asked if I was doing 5 or 7 day auctions. I'm doing 7 right now. I think that, I don't know, I don't think there's a lot of benefit for doing the 10. And I think the shorter ones are more expensive. So for the purpose of what I'm doing, 7 seems to be the best fit.
This is a really good question from Treasure Hunters, which is, what happens if they return the item? Does eBay refund them and we lose the money? No, that's not the case. So let's say you send in a $5,000 Gucci bag and it sells and the person gets it and they don't want it and they ship it back. You still keep the 4,000. They take a 20% commission, and in that commission, they obviously build in insurance against that kind of fraud. They handle it. I feel like that is going to get abused. So, and that's what happens when you know, like if I had a competitor that had free shipping and free returns, you could be evil and buy all of it and return all of it, and they have to pay 2 shipping on hundreds of items. It's extremely scary to me. I feel like I'm not big enough to offer free returns.
Yeah, I haven't, like I said, I just don't think I have enough clarity around the impact it'll have on my business, so I just haven't made the plunge yet.
Absolutely.
I will take a couple more questions, guys, and then we are going to wrap up. I have lots of shipping to do tonight.
They said that 10-day auction, or I mean, Coach is not included. Coach is not considered a high-end luxury brand. It's like a lower, mid tier, mid to low tier. So eBay is not going to do that premium service on the item that's not expensive.
What is your conversion rate? That's a great question. I don't know. I know my sell-through was at, like last time I checked and was doing some conversion or calculations, I was about at 0.5% per day. So that's, I don't know. I think that's decent for a long tail side. What are you at, Chris?
Conversion for what kind of conversion?
I know I'm just talking sell-through because I don't really know how to calculate any specific conversion rate. I mean, a conversion rate off of impressions would be really hard to figure out. Just because
this is really interesting. I've been hovering around 1,800 listings for the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
On days I list, I've never sold less than 20 items. On days that I list 25 or more items. On days that I don't list, I've never sold more than 13 items.
Right, which speaks to the daily listing, right?
That is a huge difference. It's almost like literally half the sales of the days I'm listing. And now, to be fair, some of the items that I list sell immediately. So those are not like the ones that they don't really count, kind of.
Right.
So I just count them as sales, even though they're not from the original number. So I don't know. It's a little fuzzy.
Hold on. So they're saying the conversions in the traffic. My sales conversion is 1.5% over a 30-day period.
I'm too lazy.
I'm curious what it was on the day my auction ended. Actually, I'm gonna look that up.
Okay, fine. I'll look at it.
So this is interesting. So over 30 days, my conversion rate was 1.5%. Okay. My conversion rate on the day the auctions ended was 6.3, which makes sense. And then the next day, the following day, my conversion rate was 3.8 without auctions. So that means my conversion rate tripled after those auctions ended.
Wow.
Like, talk about a direct correlation. I mean, I was just doing it by feel, but actually looking at that, whoever suggested the traffic tab, I've never actually looked at that. That's pretty sweet.
So what am I looking at in the traffic tab?
So I went to the traffic tab, and then this is review your traffic. You clicked on the traffic under the My eBay piece. And then if you scroll down, you have your listing impressions, you have your listing page views, and then below that you have a click-through rate and your sales conversion rate off that click-through.
So my click-through rate is 0.8%.
Yeah, mine is like.
And my sales conversion rate is 1.1%. What is yours at?
Mine for the last 30 days was at 1.5.
Okay.
But the day those auctions ended, it was at 6.8. And then the day after my auctions ended, I was at 3.8. So I was at almost 3 times my average conversion rate that day after all those auctions ended for all my.
How many people follow your store?
I don't know. How do I check that? Someone tried to tell me that before.
If you click on your username,
oh, I got you.
You can scroll down.
Hold on, username. Following, I have 1,338 followers.
So I have 2,500 followers that don't buy anything. So I wonder what that does to it. Kind of screws up the metrics.
When people watching these shows or whatever go to check out our stories to kind of model what we're doing, definitely bombs our conversion a bit, which I don't care about. But I think that definitely skews it a bit. It'd be interesting to see a non-YouTuber store who has a pretty solid store, what the difference is in a similar genre.
Yeah, it's difficult to determine.
Yeah,
it's difficult to. I think for us, it's difficult to determine the click-through rate because it's fuzzy.
Yeah. But I will say, I mean, looking at a triple what my monthly conversion rate was the day after those auctions ended, like that's not a mistake. Like that's
amazing.
Yeah. So we'll see what this auction piece leads to. It'll be interesting.
That I was thinking about moving all my listings to my Husky store, but it's gonna, if I remain a public person on YouTube, I'm not sure how I can track non-serious traffic. I don't think you can.
No. And then you got to decide if it's relevant enough to do that, right? Whether it's meaningful enough.
True. And how many people that follow us do buy?
Agreed.
Because they need a new shirt and they want to buy it from Luke. I don't know. That's fuzzy.
But pretty sweet statistics there. Thanks to whoever in the chat told me about the traffic tab there. I think Stacy did. Thank you, Stacy.
We're gonna have to do some homework, and we probably need to do a whole show on the traffic tab because I don't really even open it. That's not good.
Yeah, there are a lot of features that eBay offers that I don't use just from a time perspective, and it's probably poor on my part for sure.
Let's see. Are there any other questions? I love this 1% a day idea. It's got me psyched. It's gonna have me start some right now.
especially in fourth quarter, it'll be nice to do it. I mean, I plan to do it kind of all the way to the end of the year, similar to not running sales, similar to all the things we've talked about, and just see what the impact is. So,
Can you move a listing without just redoing it from scratch? This is from store to store. You can with a third party lister,
Right,
but not with just eBay.
Yeah.
That would be crazy if there's a check button or a drop down menu where you could move it to a different store. That would be so cool, but yeah, but that feature would probably confuse the hell out of people.
Yeah, it would confuse the hell out of me, I think.
Yeah, I really wonder on the people who don't, because there's literally people who copy the exact store we're trying to make. So I'm wondering how many of them don't look. And I'm also, have you ever asked people? I've never asked Instagram or YouTube to review my store. And I wonder if I would get a huge boost, because what happens is when you do it, everyone's like, oh, you screwed up. You put this as men's jeans, but it's women's jeans. You put this as a herringbone pattern, and it's not. You know, you would get all these messages from all these mistakes you made. You would have fixed all of them. But then you would have all that non-converting traffic. That's very fuzzy.
Yeah, that's what's interesting to me is are we being punished for non-converting traffic or not? I mean, I would say we're definitely being rewarded for converted traffic. I mean, and it'll be interesting. So 1.5 is my baseline to work off of, right? And so it'll be interesting to see how that evolves from a 30-day period as we move through the fourth quarter. And then it'll be defining how much of that is related to auctions versus Q4 ramping up and, you know, all that stuff. I will say another point to this is I have probably only listed 50 to 100 unique items over that 30-day period. So this is just pure, literally like my normal stuff I've already listed, put in the legwork on, refreshed the listings, ran the auctions and boosted it, and saw a 3 times conversion rate on basically static style listings. So
okay, well,
so we'll see. Everyone's gonna run auctions now.
I'm so psyched tomorrow to start running auctions and try. I'm gonna try it every day until next Sunday.
Yeah,
starting tomorrow. See what happens. I'll have 6 days of running auctions, and then
before our show next week, we'll do a quick review of the conversion. We'll just do a 7-day look.
Yeah, we'll check it out. I like that, and that'll force me to put at least X amount of auctions up. You know?
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
You heard it here first, guys. We'll do a conversion look back. We'll run auctions every day, and we will let you know if it works or if it's kind of working.
Yep.
All right. Anything last one you want to take? I think we're pretty good.
Thank you guys for stopping by. We appreciate your time. Let us know in the comments or email us if you're looking for a specific topic. Most of our content comes from user questions. So always happy to come. Make sure you hit the like button and comment and subscribe to Luke if you haven't, if this is the first time you're watching.
And likewise to Chris, definitely check his store out, although I'm sure everyone has already subscribed, but make sure you do if you haven't. And in the comments, guys, like I said, just drop below. I'd love to see some people's conversion rates, see how low mine is compared to others. It's always nice to see in the comments afterwards what the community looks like and what a normal benchmark is. So drop that below and have an awesome night, guys. We appreciate you stopping in.
Thanks, guys.